Hello there, kia ora. Let's take a look at some of the hard right red flags in the Whangarei District Council election. Now, quick disclaimer here, these are red flags for me. They're not going to be red flags for everyone. So please, make sure you do your own research into the candidates and make sure you get out there and vote this year. Whangarei is a great example of what happens when the far right get away with trying to manipulate voters and the politicians that you end up with. There's a lot of influences at play here. At the last local election, Voices for Freedom teamed up with Democracy Northland, a local astroturf group set up by Frank Newman, one of the Newmans behind the hard right New Zealand Centre for Political Research. They worked together to promote candidates that they supported, and they used tools like a website, originally purchased by now incumbent Mayor Vince Cocarillo. There's a print periodical, and they even ran candidates around Northland and followed up the election with a sinister email that basically said to councillors, "You owe us now." What resulted was what Voices for Freedom described as one of the best councils for what they want to achieve, and that was actually seen in the way that the water fluoridation edict from the Director General of Health was handled. This election, NZCPR and Voices for Freedom have teamed up again, with Frank Newman again driving specific campaigns he's keen on getting elected. Instead of Cocarillo this time, though, he's throwing his weight behind Marie Olsen for mayor, since I guess Vince must have voted for something pro-Māori once. Together, they've set up the group Concerned Residents of Whangarei, or CROW, which was launched with Voices for Freedom Communications Coordinator Tane Webster in attendance. He was the one who told attendees that
what we actually need to spend more time and energy on is growing the number of people that are aware of the issue and are connecting the problem and the pain with our solution.
At various Voices for Freedom meetings in the area, we've seen incumbents like Vince Cocarillo, Marie Olsen, and outgoing Deputy Mayor Phil Hulse, who just this week was writing for that NZCPR print publication decrying the dangers of woke. Good thing he's retiring, I guess, because after 33 years on council, it does become really hard to blame past councils that you were on as causing the problems you want to vilify today. And at the launch of CROW, we saw a number of candidates that are on today's list, as well as mayoral candidate Fiona Green and mayoral wannabe Marie Olsen, who's actually told supporters that if they want to make a donation to support her campaign, they can do that directly to the local Voices for Freedom chapter.
Put the through Voices for Freedom.
And it kind of makes sense that Frank Newman would back someone like Olsen. After all, she keeps making racist overtures. Her votes against Māori wards, her opposition to Three Waters because of dog whistles over co-governance, and of course her weird comment about everyone in the Toitū Tiriti Hikoi being unemployed, which got a clapback from a fellow councillor pointing out that she has a history of this kind of clear racism, and he has the same job she does, and he managed to be at the Hikoi. But she's far from the only one in the area with these kinds of connections. Dave Baldwin, running in Bream Bay for the General Ward, is a regular contributor to pseudo law group Challenging Councils and often shares Voices for Freedom content on his pages and has been a guest on that Voices for Freedom propaganda platform Reality Check Radio. Paul Grace, running in Bream Bay as well, his content includes far-right ramblings from the Newmans NZCPR on Facebook, a page that historians will one day look at to see how racist people can be in comments on Facebook. And he's shared cartoons from the darling of the race baiters, Garrick Tremaine, that he found on the platform. Ren Haskell, running in the Hikurangi Coastal General Ward, she downplays being a member of Voices for Freedom but was at the illegal Wellington occupation. She posts with pseudo law group Challenging Council content. She uses New Zealand First's next on the list of potential MPs and conspiracy pusher Kirsten Murfitt as a legit source of information, promotes other Voices for Freedom linked candidates and their CROW group, content from the platform, and shares content from one of two racist Tauranga City residents groups. She also claims to be clairvoyant. Simon Reid, who's running in the Mangakahia Maungataupiri General Ward, he's really anti-fluoride. In fact, he said agreeing to fluoridate water was making the council complicit in government rape. Paul Gosling calls climate change fraudulent economics, the UN evil totalitarian criminals, the WHO criminal eugenics, demands the arrest of Bill Gates and Anthony Fauci, and that COVID-19 is a transhumanist digital convergence. And all of that's just on his candidate profile on the Whangarei District Council website. John Twimman from Whangarei Heads, he's Voices for Freedom linked, a CROW supporter, shares content from anti-science group NZD-SOS, thinks LGNZ is far left for, let me just check my notes on this, working to advocate for local government and providing toolkits for elected members to ensure they're looked after and supported in their roles. He's shared content from Reality Check Radio, NZCPR, he's also anti-fluoride, thinks woke is an insult in both shares and posts to pseudo-law group Challenging Councils. Tiana Ipati has a glowing endorsement from Voices for Freedom mouthpiece Erica Harvey, but to be honest, there's not a lot more about her online, so I can't really say what other red flags are out there. Paul Yovich, current councillor for the Whangarei Urban General Ward. If you want to see him twitch, just tell him you think Dame Jacinda Ardern was amazing because of her belief in trying to look after all New Zealanders. Vaccine mandates were brilliant and the parliamentary protest was a stain on our history. He doesn't react well to that. Oh, and speaking of Yoviches, Matt Yovich is running in Bream Bay. He's their ACT candidate, but well, at least he'll be labelled as such. Not like Susie Bretherton, who's running for Hikurangi. She campaigned for ACT in the general election as the Whangarei candidate, but isn't an ACT candidate for this year's local elections. Look, when you have such an active local astroturf group set up like this, you'll actually find that they load Meet the Candidate events and want to grab the mic to steer the narrative to make their candidates look good and opposition look bad. We actually saw that in a recent meeting where members of Crow tried to blame mayoral candidate Ken Coper for rates increases, while ignoring the fact that Vince Cocarillo and Marie Olsen actually voted for those exact same increases. If you're running a candidate event anywhere in the country, don't give the mic to the audience. Get them to write questions down in advance so a moderator can vet them, and also it does make it flow a lot easier for these meetings. This year voting's being done by postal ballot, which means that voting forms are going to be sent out early September. Whangarei's using STV, so you need to rank the candidates that you like this time around. Ticks don't count. However many you want to vote for, you can rank that many. And the future of Māori wards is also on the ballot here, so please make sure you have your say. You can find more information about your local elections on your council website, or you can visit my website, paultheotherone.com/LG25. Just do a search for your local council, and you'll find a whole bunch of resources, including screen grabs from this video here today. Hey, thanks for checking out today's video. Make sure you like, share, subscribe so you get more updates as we go along. We deal with these guys for the rest of the year.